Strangely or not, healing through the spiritual awakening process is the same for evolution of our body, mind, emotion. We are evolving through this time and need to include certain activities and methods for healing our past as well as continuing our journey. It is in this process we discover who we are, our purpose, if we don't already know, and our deep inner connection to our lives and our Dharma. Dharma is our right path in the world and role within the cosmos that does not create karma, but instead holds us steady on our purpose in its unfolding. More about this below. We are healing ourselves through those around us by our commitments to our truth and healing, and to the past relationships by no longer being willing to participate in energy that bogs us down. This does not mean we are less responsible, less caring, or less evolving in our destiny. It means the opposite. We are more caring, more present, more on our purpose, our Dharma, more in the flow, and more building the new in this time of transformation and connecting to synchronicities. The following areas are components of ourselves for our continuous healing that we need to attend to holistic. Get the nuances of the areas you may be aware of and learn about other areas that will surprise you. In each area, there are methods you can include to connect to, learn from, and expand into. The first area is nature. Nature in understanding deeper meanings of what is sacred and what the soul needs, and spiritual resource that nurtures the soul. It offers a wellspring of inspiration, solace, and inner growth to those who seek it. Inspiration, cycles, rain and sun, wind, storm, and noticing the changes in the sky, temperature, landscape, and wildlife presence, and in observing the night sky and stars. Nature has guided our creativity and deepened our understanding of the universe. Countless poets, philosophers, and spiritual leaders have drawn wisdom from the natural world in understanding what's happening to us through astrology and astronomy. Nature is also our sanctuary because it is a respite from the outside world in the sounds and visual areas that soothe our souls, whether we're walking in the forest and taking in the odors that help us relax and are restorative, being at the ocean and hearing the repetition of the rhythms of the waves that are deeply innate to us, breathing in the salt water air, or in the desert and the odors of the Sonoran Desert that also fill our senses. Nature gives us all the elements that connect us deeply to our inner selves and the cycles of time. Other ways we connect to nature is through noticing the trees around us, having a garden that we tend that gets us outside regularly, going to outdoor farmers markets, seeking botanical gardens, natural water sources and arboretums, and even plant nurseries. Ways to connect to nature and the earth is through earth stewardship, sustainability, recycling, volunteering for cleanups in nature and to restore the environment. Commit to being in nature, plant trees in your yard, or help to plant trees in your community. I also use, which is an add-on to Google Chrome that plants trees. Look at ways to lessen your carbon footprint by using less plastic and learning about buying sustainable food products that have less packaging, lessening foods that contribute to the fast food waste industry, and make purchases that support slow clothing movement. Learn about household waste, paints, light bulbs, batteries, and solvents, and where to recycle. Creative expression is part of our soul's journey in healing and synchronizing with our Dharma, our purpose, and alignment, and is our creative outlet. In all of the methods listed here are areas that heal, and this includes the area of finding our voice, finding our expression, and our creativity. Our creative expression manifests in many unlimited ways, as traditionally an art and music, and in ways we work with others, with systems, finding resolution, and developing resilience. Our creative expression cannot be washed out of us, but is constantly expressed as our passion and innate self, sometimes even not obvious to ourselves, because it is us. In our creative expression, we can become lost and lose sense of time, which is called being in the flow, and another way that is a type of meditation because it holds all the features of the benefits of meditation. And the list of amazing life-changing benefits of meditation is coming up. Social support, community, and connection. Through the changes we make on our spiritual awakening journey and healing, our relationship with others changes, discovering and making new connections with people that understand our language. And some of our experiences is part of our human experience and social needs. There is often an evolution to our relationships as our interests, commitment to our journey evolve and transcend limitations and even change direction. Close relationships within families may also take on different dynamics as the contracts shift. Boundaries may change, awareness and forgiveness, compassion and commitment adjust and uplevel. Through all of this, the need for us to support others, be in service, to do acts of kindness, and receive support is innate to our journey. And here is an exercise. An act of kindness a day changes you. The following act of kindness is a commitment to do for the rest of your life every day. Find a stranger and speak to them words of encouragement and beauty that will feed their soul, that they will remember for the rest of their life. Done in person is preferable. This also can be done when chatting with tech support, which I've done, and is often a significant up-leveling for people who are chatting on tech support with people who are complaining. Make a journal of each day with a date and one word to describe the feeling you experienced in sharing that uplifting kindness. It becomes an interesting and exciting exercise to see who will show up and how you're inspired to speak in beauty. There is no limit you can do in a day. You can do more than one, but it's one minimum. This is injecting into the quantum field the energy to change the paradigm from lack of compassion and kindness to having compassion and consideration. We never know what a person is going through and how your words will make their day, make their week, make their life. Gratitude. When people are grateful, there's a change in their energy and focus, shifting from complaining, gossiping, disadvantages, lack, hyperfocus on perceived or real physical, mental, and emotional health issues, and other negative thoughts. Having gratitude does not imply a person overlooks or neglects, does not stop helping others or the environment, or making a contribution to areas that are in need, or making changes in our social and culture that need attention, like helping the homeless or abandoned animals and creatures. Having gratitude also does not mean we relinquish or stop having boundaries. Gratitude for simple things that are around us, including our five senses, our limbs and body, our interventions upon these negative thoughts. How does being grateful affect us? When we connect to the feeling of gratitude, it lives in the area of our heart, which is in the front of our body, on our chest. The feeling is openness, connection, and appreciation. The awareness of the feelings is key and sometimes takes practice and willingness to feel. It is not happiness that brings us gratitude. It is gratitude that brings us happiness. These connections to gratitude are not superficial, but genuinely cultivate a positive mindset that flows into how we relate to others and ourselves. When we show gratitude to others, that is recognizing they're showing up, it creates a reciprocal sense of connection and kindness and appreciation that can lead to deeper, more fulfilling relationships. When we are more grateful, we are cultivating a sense of contentment and observation that contributes to our spiritual awakening process and helps to restore negative energy and our own healing. An unexpected connection with gratitude and grief. Another component of gratitude, which is unexpected, is its positive interrelationship with grief. When people have a gratitude practice, grief and loss is experienced differently. It is not that grief is lessened or taken away, but instead, because gratitude practices develop resilience, grief is less devastating because it develops coping mechanisms and inner strength that also are the opposite of sustaining stress. What does the research show on how gratitude affects us? There are many different areas that are positively affected within us by using gratitude, which include fosters restructuring in the brain, which promotes positive thinking. There's reduces fear and anxiety because there's a regulation of stress hormones, and it stimulates the release of dopamine and serotonin, the feel-good chemicals. There's an improvement in social, interpersonal relationships and connections. Gratitude diminishes the production of cortisol, which is the stress hormone, and helps to regulate stress. There's an improvement in the ability to get to sleep and get good sleep. And it develops resilience through coping mechanisms and builds inner strength. It is helpful to say things that you are grateful for out loud, to hear your own voice saying what you are grateful for. It is helpful to even say what you are grateful for with other people because they become your witness. Each person is a witness to the others in respect and observance, so each person has a turn without being interrupted. I have a practice of doing gratitude with our family when we have ceremonies, when we get together, including the children. Teaching our children these practices helps them too. And it's helpful to practice saying you are grateful for a lesson you learned and how you benefited from it. A simple method for gratitude is to say, first, one thing you're grateful for about the world. Second, then say one thing you're grateful for about one other person and why. This could be a person who is living or in the story of our past, previously known as history. And the third area is to say one thing about yourself that you are grateful for out loud in front of others. And this last one is often, I've found, the most challenging for people. Compassion. Developing compassion for ourselves, our journey, other people, animals, creatures, and nature is part of our human development and evolution that is also a significant component of the development in spiritual awakening and healing. Compassion is defined by words of empathy, kindness, forgiveness, consideration, sense of connection with others, and is a cornerstone of our spiritual development and healing. Spiritual practices. Within the scope and content of spiritual practices, everyday methods that strengthen our inner connection and build our focus and ability of intention and openness to the inspiration of insight and intuition are the practices that feed our soul, sometimes mystical, out of the ordinary daily routine, which remind us and call us to continue to clear our path, stay open and open-hearted. And the following areas are these different areas. One is contracts. The spiritual awakening process can bring our awareness to different sacred agreements, also known as contracts, we have with ourselves, our past, with our family, our career, and other people. As part of our healing, heightening our perception of the layers of these relationships and how they serve us can become known to us. We have the opportunity to change the dynamics of a contract and operate from a place of loving choice that can change the interactions of these relationships through how we respond to and maintain the interactions, which I call up-leveling, and using sacred circles. Although Western culture is distant from ancient practices, their meaning and collective unconscious impact remains profound. Creating for ourselves and joining with others in these sacred circles is a timeless, restorative, and dynamic method that continues our journey of presence and healing and building the energy for transformation. Being in a circle with other people can be an opportunity to share and be a witness to your sharing that is unburdening and healing for the speaker as well as those who are the witnesses for the other. It's a time of vulnerability, willingness, sharing, openness, and connection and compassion that changes people beyond politics, divisiveness, and isolation. Practices that change our consciousness develop transcendence, connection, restoration, intuition, and insight, and we call these meditation. Walking a labyrinth is an example of a method that connects to the relaxation response, which is one of the significant characteristics of effective meditation. It's also a circle of sorts that you can participate in that can be done alone as well as with others at the exact geographic location that heighten awareness. Another component of the labyrinth that is connective is knowing there are labyrinths around the world and other people are walking the labyrinth as you are. The labyrinth is a sacred journey that is emotional, sensory, and that is occurring worldwide and connects the walkers at multiple levels in compassion to gain a contemplative posture of peace and calm, leading to insights and motivations for positive change during times of crisis, which has occurred historically through and after the tsunami in Indonesia, and recently in the issues with the Ukraine and Gaza and Israel, and also through the hurricanes of Milton and Helena. Ceremony and ritual that repeat through time as meaningful ways to connect us to the cycles of seasons, circles of the sun and moon and earth, our relationships with the stars in the night sky, and our greater connection to the cosmos. Spiritual awakening is about deepening reverence and connection through these practices that have meaning and are beyond many of the modern practices that are mostly commercialized and now considered conventional holidays. Ceremony and ritual often have specific songs, odors, spoken words, sequences of events, exchanges, sometimes specific clothing and foods, and practices that honor and are associated with these times that speak to our souls. We are in a time of people who are creating those ceremonies that are meaningful for them. Feelings and grief. In our journey of spiritual awakening and healing, we are called to be fully present on earth with the array of feelings that come forth in the human experience. Suppression of difficult feelings, as well as what is considered crazy and does not fit into the norm, is a highlight of our times that we are coming out of. Experiencing the difficult feelings as well as the peak experiences helps us with allowing and experiencing our intuitive awareness and is another significant component of our healing process. Often when people have experienced trauma and or grief, There can be a suppression of these feelings that bottles up the flow of energy and also affects their intuition. As we heal ourselves and allow ourselves to fully be present, knowing we are not the feelings, they move through us as an experience, but they do not own us. Healing our trauma, healing the trauma and memory that is never spoken but lives within us as a silent memory that was passed to us through the unconscious of our families and the generations, is another component of our healing journey that contains and reclaims our energy, our presence, our wholeness, that also expands our awareness and perception. There are many other practices that heighten our spiritual awakening journey that are not included here, that potentiate the changes in our being, help us to notice nuances that are not discernible when we only do a ceremony or ritual one time, but are continuous over time. Meditation. The encompassing definition of meditation is a practice that changes our brainwaves from ordinary waking consciousness simultaneously with our heart rate and respiration, creating the relaxation response and connecting to alpha brainwaves or deeper. And sometimes the term embody is used to represent these functions of meditation. As a component of the broader term meditation, mindfulness meditation, which means to hold being present in the mind, has spread in its acceptance due to the consistent scientific research. The mindfulness movement is an introduction that has paved the way for other profound and easy meditation methods. Transformational meditation in groups and for individuals has consistently through time been with the use of specific rhythms and tones and patterns that allow us to align in resonance, be held by these patterns and frequency without effort, sustaining a deep inner connection. These ancient patterns can be vocalizations, instruments, or both, and have been and are used to gain insight, develop and expand into mystical, numinous states where we are engaging beyond the ordinary. Introduction to these methods are gentle and easy and have the potential for intense transformation as music and sound experiences that are profound methods of transcendence and also very easy. The benefits of accessing transformational states, shifting out of ordinary consciousness, are long and include diminishing stress, inflammation, depression, and anxiety. There's an increase in dopamine and serotonin, the feel-good chemicals, develops calm and centeredness, develops resilience, problem solving, and insight, boosts the immune system, creates mental and emotional regulation, develops neuroplasticity, which increases learning and creates epigenetic responses to mental and physical illness triggered by inflammation and cortisol, which is the stress response. And the underlying causes of the following mental and physical diseases are caused by inflammation and cortisol production, which include Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia, cancer, addiction, immune-compromised illness, diabetes, schizophrenia, bipolar, depression, and anxiety. There is also deepens a personal spiritual connection with intuition, and intuition and insight are characteristics of our evolution as are epigenetic responses because they develop the ability to solve problems beyond the constructs of the social norms and expectations to allow us to evolve and grow. Nutrition and deficiencies and digestion. As the spiritual awakening journey continues, there are often changes in what people want to consume to put into their bodies. This is not to build muscle, become ripped, or an external focus on our physical body presence, but because food choices become another area of where we are feeding our souls consciously with food that are the best for our functioning physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And because There is awareness. We do not live in a vacuum, and our choices contribute to and affect the land and air through farming, resources availability, pollution, transportation, as well as other creatures and how they're affected. In the spiritual awakening journey and healing, recognizing our stress and healing impacts our physical, mental, emotional selves is deeply affected by our food intake, nutritional intake, that substances also have depletions associated with them, as well as side effects. These areas include how our digestion is functioning and depletions that are often never examined in Western medicine, but instead given a mental or physical health diagnosis. In this expanding area of understanding, we holistically change and heal ourselves and the paradigm. Sleep. In spiritual practices, sleep and dream time are very important resources for our development in 4 different areas. It's through our dreams we connect to messages, gain insight, and even get answers and direction that are unbidden besides processing the day-to-day. When we learn to work with our dreams, we can incubate suggestions like an affirmation right before falling asleep that carries into our dreams. People can work with lucid dreaming, and a way of expanding spiritual awakening and healing can occur. Their after-death communication occurs during the dream time, which offers comfort, kinesthetic and audio connection, thought transference, also known as telepathy, and knowing. And dream walking, where a spiritual teacher visits in a dream or a specific time to convey information, guidance, and teaching. These are all healing and restorative practices and are not useful unless there is a valuing of getting good sleep and deep sleep. Another component of getting sleep is recognizing when people have trauma, sleep can be difficult. I had a very gifted spiritual teacher who also had childhood abuse and trauma, who did not work on that and who could not sleep, which was very erosive. Honoring our ability to shift from waking consciousness into the dream state is invaluable. And below there are directions for connecting to dream walking, personal growth, and the blind side. The only way we grow outwardly and change our lives is by going inward. As we are on our spiritual awakening journey, there are always levels of growth, expansion and contraction, and insight development. There are times when we are more inward focused and times when we come out of this stage like a chrysalis, coming out of the cocoon with new wings to fly to another level and growth stage. These are cycles of life, just as mentioned above, in being in nature and how that helps us to notice the seasons and changes of rise and fall as a natural ebb and flow. Often, we are shown the very public side of people as razzle-dazzle, all beautiful and all good, especially on social media. This is a distortion of the human condition and experience without any cycles and changes of going inward and coming out. Our inner development is part of our personal growth and can allow us to tolerate noticing the areas where we are blinded, like in controlling behavior, inappropriate behavior, speaking inappropriately, or being insensitive so we can change, growing in humbleness. Companions of pets and plants. In our healing journey, our surroundings contribute to that process. Our houseplants and animals or creature companions give to us their presence, connection, releasing stress, and increasing dopamine and serotonin. Caring for and attending to plants, including gardens and houseplants, and creatures and animals, connects us emotionally, helps us to see patterns and cycles and behaviors, and are witness to our days and nights without judgment. Their dependence is not daunting or depleting because what they contribute to us is far greater. We develop empathy and compassion, as well as attachment with our animal companions, and also unconditional love, comfort, security, sometimes a social connection, and self-efficacy. Movement. Lately, I've heard many people talk about feeling stuck. Feeling stuck is also stagnation, often without knowing how to get unstuck, or what needs to shift, or knowing there's a need for a new practice to nudge the energy for change. This feeling of stagnation can also occur when the person is ready for change, but also resistant for a different reason. While regular physical movement helps our physical body, mind, and emotion, it also connects to the movement of our spirit, gets us into nature and connection with the earth. Having regular physical movement helps us digest and release toxins, as well as get better sleep, all contributing to our overall health and wellness as part of our continuous healing. Movement also occurs when we journal and record many of the areas listed above, because journaling releases the thoughts from within, allows us to see them concretely on a page. This process also allows us to process, and going back can show us patterns, time, triggers, and insights. Journaling in the following areas include our grief, our dreams, the sleep patterns, gratitude, meditation experiences, writing the contracts we have and how we would change and up-level them, experiences from walking a labyrinth or being in a sacred circle, setting intentions, and the kindness exercise. Movement of our energy through practices that regularly sweep and release, connect to being present and grounded as we become more expansive, are also critical methods for anchoring, integrating, understanding, and noticing nuances and developing further, and part of our healing. Movement of our energy also occurs when we visit sacred locations, walk a labyrinth, join in a sacred circle practice, which can include sacred songs or chants where breath, tone, rhythm are shared, creating entrainment and alignment with the numinous and mystical. Sometimes we reach a plateau and there is a need for different content to rouse our movement, to take on new practices, to revive ourselves, which becomes another layer of the ebb and flow of the cycles of our transformation within the greater transformation that is occurring in the earth. In our spiritual awakening journey of healing, we are composed of all of these areas that I've mentioned that contribute to our evolution. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe and check out the 3 Malete programs.